She went down to the local Red Cross, sat down and talked to him and said, well, I haven't heard from my son, Sammy Davis, for 63 days and I'm getting very concerned. And they said, well, okay, we'll turn his name into the Pentagon and the Pentagon will find out how your son is doing. Well, when the Pentagon received my name, they put it on a list of bad boys who hadn't been writing home to their mamas. And there was 51 names on the list from my small unit, a little over 100 kids, and 51 of us were not writing home to the point that our mamas had talked to the Red Cross about it. So they wrote a letter to my captain. So now, we didn't know any of this was happening. The reason why I wasn't writing home is, what do you write home and tell your mama about when you're in extreme combat situation? Because all of us decided that, well, tomorrow surely something is going to happen that we can write home to mama about. And I thought it'd only been a few weeks, but evidently this is 5:30 in the morning, sitting on the outer perimeter in Vietnam, and my captain comes walking up to me. Now, captains don't normally come check on you at 5:30 in the morning sitting on the perimeter. And I was concerned because the only reason that I could think of that he would be coming to talk to me at 5:30 in the morning was that mom and dad had been in a bad car wreck or their house had burnt, or that was the significance of the captain coming out to talk to me at 5:30 in the morning sitting on the perimeter. He walked up to me and stepped off in my foxhole and sat down on the mud bags, and he leaned forward. He said, Private Davis? I said, yes, sir. You haven't been writing home to your mother. And I said, well, no, sir. And he said, well, why haven't you? And I told him the truth, and as my captain, he was extremely aware of what we'd been going through. And I also threw in the fact that I didn't have anything proper to write on, because you carried your writing material in the pouches on the side of your fatigue pockets. And we were down in the Delta, we were always wet, and they'd turn into spitballs. And he said that was invalid, because those that are writing home are using the C-ration boxes. He said, Private, with each meal that you eat, you have 4 opportunities to write home to your mother: the front and the back and the sides. And I said, well, yes, sir. So I start writing home to mom. What do you write home to mom when you're uncomfortable in writing home to her and telling her what's going on? I mean, it overpowers you totally. So I wrote home about how the mud smelled. I wrote home to her about the bugs. We had these rhinoceros beetles. They were a couple inches long, and they had a horn on them. And if you put 2 of them in a helmet, took the liner out of the steel helmet, they would back up and they would joust one another. And when the other one flipped the other one over, and the other would go, ink, 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 ink. It sounded like it was laughing. I wrote about the monkeys. I wrote about the baby elephants. I wrote about the pineapples, and I would draw pictures. And I'm not an artist, but these, every day, I wrote mom a letter of some kind, a note. And after a few weeks of mom getting these, she sent me a package. And when the sergeant handed me my package, I thought mom had sent me oatmeal raisin cookies. And as some of you here know, she was famous for her oatmeal raisin cookies. So I was all excited, and it was just a brown paper wrapper. And as I'm unwrapping it, and I seen that it was a harmonica box. And on the box, in mom's handwriting, it said, son, I hope this helps you be not quite so bored. So my letters home to mom had worked. She was no longer worried. In fact, she thought I was bored. Well, I didn't know how to play it. I stuck it in my pocket. Now, my dad played the harmonica, but his dad explained to me, son, these are not toys, and children do not play with them. So I didn't learn how to play the harmonica, but I had been exposed to it all my life. So I just stuck the harmonica in my pocket, went back to my foxhole. Within a half an hour, one of my sergeants, Johnston Dunlap, came walking by. It was his job to make the circle, to make sure all of us privates were doing our job, being observant, sitting on the perimeter. And he said, Private Davis? I said, yes, Sergeant. He said, did your mother send you a harmonica? I pulled it out. I said, yes, Sergeant, she did. He was E6. And he said, well, play Shenandoah for me. I said, well, Sergeant Dunlap, I don't know how to play Shenandoah. And what I meant was, I don't know how to play a harmonica, but when an E6 asks a private to play the harmonica, what is your proper response? Well, I'd been in band here in Manteca in high school and played the drums. One of our songs that I had remembered playing was Shenandoah. So I knew kind of the basics of it, but I had no idea how to translate the drum into a harmonica. But I sat there and tried. Now I'm sitting on the perimeter, doing my job, watching to see if the bad guys are going to come through the barbed wire, and I'm sitting there playing, picking out tunes. Within a few weeks, you could tell what I was trying to play. Well, Sergeant Dunlap would stop and correct me and say, you got to bring it up here, you got to lower it down here, you got to stretch it out there. And like I said, within a couple weeks, you could tell what I was trying to play. Well, Sergeant Dunlap and I became very good friends. Sergeant Johnston Dunlap. And I asked him one night, well, John, why is Shenandoah your favorite song? And he said, well, I was in the military, in the Army 4 years. I got out to go to college, and I went to outside of Washington, D.C., a very liberal college, but a very good college. And he said not everybody there had the depth of patriotism that he had. That's where a lot of hippies went. And he said, rather than having physical confrontations with them, I'd get in my car, drive 70 miles straight west to the Shenandoah River Valley, which the valley, there's a bluff that goes to the car, and walk out to the edge of the bluff, sit on this rock, that I could look straight down into the Shenandoah River, and I'm looking straight up the Shenandoah Valley. He said the breeze that was always coming up the valley, the beautiful scenery, he said it would give my soul hope again. And I could sit there for a half hour, 45 minutes, then I'd get back in my car, go back to school, and face these not as patriotic as John was, young students. Well, then he got his degree and then went back into the military. My sergeant was killed in Vietnam. Johnston Dunlap on panel 50E, 13 lines down. When we dedicated the wall in 1982, my wife and I drove out. We got there I was supposed to report there at 9 o'clock in the morning on November the 11th, 1982 for the dedication of the wall. Hotel room, put my uniform on. I wanted to go to the wall and find my sergeant's name and find the rest of my brother's names. And I did. And it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm standing in front of panel 50 East, and I touched Johnston's name. And I said, brother, I'm going to play Shenandoah for you one more time. I hope that it renews your soul and gives hope to your heart. And I started playing it. I'm looking up and down the wall at 2 o'clock in the morning. There were 25 or 30 vets that had came in for the presentation the next morning that were there at the wall looking for their brothers' names. And I closed my eyes and I start playing the harmonica, Shenandoah. And I played it through 2 or 3 times. When I was done, I put the harp back in my pocket and I touched John's name, and then I looked down the wall and there were like 300 veterans that were there. Where the Ladies' Memorial is today, back then that was all woods. And my brothers had been sitting up there in the woods looking over the wall, looking over their names, their brothers' names. And when they heard the harmonica playing, they all came down. And that started a tradition. Today, I'm going to play Shenandoah for all of you here. For all of those crosses that represent our loved ones that help make us free. For my brother Larry McCurdy. For my brother Brock Elliott. God bless them. It is up to we the people to make sure that this nation is the nation that all of our brothers and sisters that have went before us. It's up to we, the people, to make sure that this nation stays the country deserving of their service. So God bless all of you. Cool.